We booked that Airbnb almost last minute. Originally, we were planning to stay in a hotel, but everything decent was either fully booked or way too expensive. After scrolling for nearly an hour, my friend found this listing. It looked normal. Not amazing, not terrible, just normal enough. A small modern house on the outskirts of the city, clean photos, basic furniture, decent reviews. But there was one thing we noticed. The price was unusually low, like way lower than anything else in that area. At first, we thought it was just a good deal. You know, one of those lucky finds. Now, looking back, that was probably the first mistake. The host replied almost instantly after we booked. No introduction, no greeting, just a single message. Door will be open. Make yourselves comfortable. That was it. No check in instructions, no details, just that. At the time, we did not think too much about it. We reached the house just before sunset. The street itself was quiet, too quiet. No people outside, no cars parked nearby. Even the houses next door looked empty. It did not feel like a normal neighborhood. But again, we ignored it. The front door was slightly open, not wide open, just enough to notice it was not fully shut. My friend pushed it gently and it creaked as it opened. That sound. It echoed a little too much for a normal house. The moment we stepped inside, something felt off. Not in a dramatic way, not like in movies. Just a small, uncomfortable feeling. Like when you enter a place where someone was just there a second ago. The air was not stale, it was not dusty, it felt fresh, used. The lights were already on, living room light, kitchen light, even the hallway light all on. We were sure we had not turned anything on. Then we saw the table. There was a plate with food on it, half eaten, not old, not spoiled, still warm. We all just stood there for a few seconds. No one said anything because all of us were thinking the same thing. Someone had been here recently. My friend tried to laugh it off. He said, maybe the cleaner had just left in a hurry. That sounded reasonable, so we went with that explanation, even though it did not fully make sense. We dropped our bags and started checking the rooms. Everything looked clean, too clean, like it was being maintained regularly, not like a place that only gets used occasionally. One thing that stood out was the bedrooms. The beds were perfectly made, but the pillows, they looked slightly pressed, like someone had just gotten up from them. That's when we got the message from the host. Hope everything is fine. I am around if you need anything. This time it felt different. Before it sounded normal. Now it did not. One of my friends immediately replied, what do you mean you are around? No response. We tried calling him. Phone was switched off. We did not know what to think. Was he nearby? Did he mean the neighborhood or something else? We decided to ignore it, tried to relax, turned on the TV, sat down. About 20 minutes later, the TV changed channels by itself. No remote was touched, no one moved. It just switched. We checked the remote. It was on the table, no one near it. That's when the first real silence hit. The kind where no one wants to say anything because saying it out loud makes it real. Then came the sound footsteps, slow, heavy, clear, coming from the hallway. We all turned at the same time. No one there. We got up and checked every room again. Nothing. But when we came back to the living room, the kitchen lights was off. We were sure it was on. Now it did not feel like a coincidence anymore. One of us walked to the main door to check the lock. It was locked from inside. Then we heard it, a soft click, right behind us. We turned around and saw the lock slowly move, unlocking by itself. That's when panic actually started. We ran to the door and tried to open it. It would not move, not stuck, not jammed, just would not open, like something was holding it from the other side. That's when we noticed something we had not seen before, a door at the end of the hallway, slightly open. We were sure that door was not there earlier. Slowly we walked toward it. Every step felt heavier. Inside it was dark, but there was a small light coming from one corner, a screen. We walked closer and realized what it was, a monitor showing live camera feeds. Every room in the house, living room, kitchen, bedrooms, even the hallway where we were standing. We froze, and then behind us, a voice. You were not supposed to find that. We turned around. The host was standing there, calm, completely calm, like this was normal, like we were the ones who did not belong. He smiled slightly and said, I told you, I am around. No anger, no panic, just control. We tried to push past him and leave, but he did not even move. He just said, people always try to leave early. That sentence did not make sense at first until we looked back at the monitor. There was another room, one we had not entered. Inside it, there were bags, phones, clothes, different ones, not ours. And that's when it clicked. We were not the first, and maybe not everyone before us had left. It was around 1 a.m. when I booked the ride. My shift had ended late that night. I was tired, slightly irritated, and honestly just wanted to get home as fast as possible. It was not unusual for me to take a ride at that time. I had done it dozens of times before. Same pickup spot, same drop location, same routine. That's why I did not think much when the ride got accepted almost instantly. Usually it takes a minute or two, but this one came through in seconds. I glanced at the details. No driver photo, no rating, just a name, driver. That felt a little strange, but not strange enough to cancel. The car arrived within a minute. An old black sedan. No company sticker, no branding, nothing that showed it was actually a ride share vehicle. The headlights stayed on even after it stopped. The engine kept running. I walked up to the window. It rolled down slowly. The driver looked at me and smiled. Not a friendly smile, just a knowing one. And then he said, Long shift today, Daniel. I froze for a second. I never said my name, and on the app, I did not even use my real name. I thought maybe it was a lucky guess, or maybe he saw it somewhere. I did not question it. I just got in. The inside of the car was clean, too clean. No personal items, no smell, no clutter. Almost like it was not used regularly. The moment I shut the door, the car started moving. No confirmation, no start right tap, just moving. I looked at the dashboard. There was a phone mounted, but the screen was completely black. No map, no route, no app. Still, he was driving perfectly, taking the exact turns I usually take, without checking anything. After a few minutes, he spoke again. You usually leave at 1:20. Today you are early. That did not feel right. I asked him, Do you drive this route often? He did not answer, just kept driving. Then he started saying things, not asking, saying, You switched jobs recently. You don't take the highway anymore. You stopped talking to your best friend last year. My stomach dropped. Those were not guesses. Those were facts, personal ones. I tried to stay calm. I said, Okay, how do you know all this? He finally responded very calmly. You told me. That did not make any sense. I had never seen this guy before. I checked my phone, no signal. Ride app not loading. Location stuck. Then I looked at his phone again. The black screen had changed. Now there was text. White text, simple. Passenger Daniel trips 3. I started at it for a few seconds, then I said, "What does that mean?" He smiled slightly and said, "You don't remember your previous rides, do you?" At the point told him to stop the car immediately. He did not respond, so I raised my voice, "Stop the car right now." This time he slowed down and stopped, but not somewhere normal, not near a street, not near houses, just an empty road, dark, completely silent. I looked around. There was nothing, no lights, no movement, no signs of life. Then he turned toward me slowly and said, "This is where you got off last time too." I said, "I will never been here." He leaned slightly closer and said, "You always say that." Then he picked up his phone and showed me something. Photos. Blurry but clear enough. Me. Sitting in the same car, same seat, same angle. Different nights. My heart started racing. I scrolled, there were more. Each one looked slightly different, but it was always me. Then I reached the last photo. It was me, standing outside the car, on that same empty road. Just standing there, not moving. I looked up at him. He was not smiling anymore. He just said, "Go ahead, you know the way." And for the first time, I realized something worse than everything else. The door next to me was already unlocked. When I moved into that apartment, it felt like a lucky deal. Cheap rent, good location, quiet building. The landlord did not ask too many questions, and the paperwork was quick. Everything seemed fine except for one thing, the apartment above mine. According to the landlord, it was empty, not temporarily, not between tenants, just empty. At first, I did not think much about it until the first night. Around 3 a.m., I woke up. Not fully awake, just enough to notice something. Footsteps, slow, clear, walking from one end of the ceiling to the other. I sat up, listened. They stopped, then started again. Same pattern back and forth. I checked the time, 3:02 a.m. I assumed maybe the landlord was wrong. Maybe someone had moved in. But the next night, same thing, same time, same footsteps, same pattern. And the night after that, and the night after that, it became routine. Every single night, 3 a.m. So I complained. The landlord looked confused. He said, "That's not possible." I said, "I hear it every night." He shook his head and said something that did not sit right. "That floor has been closed for years." Closed, not empty, closed. That changed everything. That night I did not sleep. I waited. 3 a.m. The footsteps started again, but this time they were louder, heavier, more aggressive. Then something new happened. A dragging sound, like furniture being pulled across the floor. Slow, loud, and then suddenly silence, followed by a knock. Not on the ceiling, on the floor. Right below where I was sitting, I froze. Another knock, same spot, then another. Not random. I did not move, did not breathe, just listened. The next day, I set up a small camera facing the ceiling vent. I needed proof. That night, 3 a.m., the camera recorded everything. When I checked the footage, I wish I had not. At exactly 3:01, the vent started shaking slightly, then something moved across it. A shadow, not like a normal shadow. It moved with shape, form, like a person crawling. Then the knocking started again. Later, I showed it to a friend. He paused the video, listened carefully, and said, "This is not random." He translated it. Morse code, it said, "Let me in." I moved out the next day. But before leaving, I checked building records. That floor was not just closed. There had been an incident years ago, someone dead there. But the strange part, electricity uses was still active every single night. And exactly 3 am. We were driving late that night. Long highway, no traffic, just empty road. It was one of those trips where you lose track of time. The GPS suddenly rerouted us, took us off the main road. We did not question it, thought it was just a shortcut. But the further we went, the quieter it got. No cars, no lights, no signal. Then we saw it. A gas station, old, almost abandoned looking, but the lights were on. We needed fuel, so we stopped. The moment we stepped out, something felt wrong. Not scary, just off. Inside, there was a man at the counter. He did not move, did not blink, just watched us walk in and said, "You are early." We did not understand. We paid for fuel, but the meter kept running. Even after the tank was full, we told him. He did not react, just said, "It always feels more than you need." That did not make sense. Then our phone started glitching. Battery dropped instantly, no signal. We looked around. All the clocks inside the station were stuck. 2:13 a.m. Every single one. We tried to leave. The car would not start. We stepped outside, and the road behind us was gone. Just darkness, like it never existed. We ran back inside. Panic. The man looked at us and said, "You can leave after payment." We said, "We already paid." He shook his head slowly. "Not that kind of payment." That's when he saw it, another car outside, old, covered in dust. Inside, there were things, clothes, phones, wallets, like someone had left in a hurry or never left at all. Morning came suddenly. We were back on the highway, everything normal. Car working, phones working, but when we checked the dashcam, there was no gas station, no stop, no turn, just empty road. Like it never happened. I used to work night shift as a security guard. It was not a big job, just a small office building on the edge of the city. Most nights were quiet, almost boring. My job was simple: sit in the control room, watch cameras, do hourly rounds. That's it. The building had 4 floors, but only the first two were actually used. The top floors were empty, or at least that's what I was told. There were cameras everywhere: hallways, entrances, staircases, even the unused floors. One night around 2:30 am, I noticed something strange. Camera footage, top floor, hallway. There was movement. At first, I thought it was a glitch. The image flickered slightly. Then it stabilized, and I saw it. A person standing in the hallway, not moving, just standing there. I leaned closer to the screen, trying to see clearly. The person looked normal. Office clothes, still posture, but something was off. He was facing the camera, completely still, for too long. No movement, no blinking. I checked the time, 2:32 am. That floor was supposed to be empty. No access, no employees. I grabbed the radio and asked if anyone was on the top floor. No response. I decided to check. I took the elevator, pressed the top floor button. The doors opened, dark, completely dark. No lights, no sound. I stepped out slowly. The hallway looked exactly like the camera feed, empty. No one there. I walked down the corridor, checked every room, nothing. I went back to the control room, looked at camera 14 again, and froze. The person was still there, standing in the same spot, facing the camera. That's when I realized something. The camera angle was wrong. I was not showing the hallway from the wall. It was showing it from inside the hallway, like someone was holding the camera. I zoomed in, and my stomach dropped. The person on the screen was me, standing in the hallway, looking directly into the camera, wearing the same uniform, same posture. But I was in the control room. I checked behind me, nothing. Looked back at the screen. The me on camera slowly tilted his head and smiled. That's when the lights in the control room went out. All screens turned black except one. Camera 14 still showing me standing there smiling. It started with a missed call around 3 a.m. I was asleep when my phone rang unknown number. I did not answer. A few seconds later I got a voice message. Still half asleep, I played it and immediately sat up. I was my voice crying, breathing heavily and whispering, "Don't open the door." I checked the timestamp. It was sent just seconds ago. That did not make sense. I had not recorded anything. I had not sent anything. I checked the number. It was mine. My other number had sent me that message. I tried calling back. Call failed. No network. Then I heard something. A knock on my door. Soft, slow. Exactly the same rhythm as the message. I froze. Another knock. Then my voice, from outside. Open the door. My heart started racing. I stared completely still. Then my phone buzzed again. Another voice message. I played it. It was me again. This time louder, more urgent. Whatever you hear, don't open it. The knocking got stronger, more aggressive. Then silence. Complete silence. I did not move for what felt like hours. Eventually, I fell asleep. Morning came, everything felt normal. Door was closed, no signs of anything. I checked my phone, no messages, no call history, nothing. Like it never happened until I opened my voice recorder app. There was a file recorded at 3:02 a.m. I played it. It was me standing outside my oven door, knocking and saying, "Open the door." I did not notice it at first. It started as something small, something easy to ignore. Every Saturday night around the same time, I would hear footsteps outside my apartment door. Not loud, not aggressive, just someone walking slowly down the hallway and stopping right outside my door. The first few times I thought it was just a neighbor, maybe someone coming home late, but the timing was always the same. Saturday around 2 a.m. every single week. Then one night I looked through the window. There was a man standing there, facing my door, not knocking, not moving, just standing. I waited for him to leave, but he did not. 5 minutes passed, 10 minutes. He was still here. Finally, I stepped back quickly and sat down, thinking he would eventually go away. When I checked again, he was gone. I did not think much of it until the next Saturday. Same time, same footsteps, same stop outside my door. This time I checked immediately. He was there again. Same man, same position, facing the door. But something felt different this time. He was closer to the door than before, almost leaning toward it. I did not open it, did not speak, just watched. And the slowly he raised his hand and touched the door, not knocking, just placing his hand on it. I stepped back immediately. Something about that felt wrong, very wrong. The next morning, I asked my neighbor if they had seen anyone in the hallway late at night. They looked confused and said, "There's no one else on your floor." That did not make sense. I had seen him clearly, so I checked the building cameras. There was footage of the hallway. I went through Saturday night recordings 2 a.m. The hallway was empty. No one, no man, no moment. But I know what I saw. The next Saturday, I decided to record it myself. I set my phone near the door, camera facing outward. At exactly 2 a.m., the footsteps came again. slow, steady, then stopped right outside my door. I did not check the window this time. I just waited. After a few minutes, I checked the recording. My hands started shaking. The video shadowed something, not a full person, just a shadow, standing right outside the door, perfectly still. And then the shadow slowly leaned forward, as if it was looking through the door. The next part was worse. The shadow raised its hand and touched the door from the other side. But here's the thing, there was nobody, just the shadow, no person, nothing casting it. The next Saturday, I did not wait. I left my apartment before 2 a.m., stayed out the whole night, came back in the morning. Everything seemed normal until I saw my door. There were marks on it, finger marks, long, like someone had been pressing their hand and dragging it slowly from outside downward. It started with a normal notification, nothing unusual, just a missed call, but the number was not saved, and yet it looked familiar. I opened my call history and searched. The number was mine. I had a missed call from my own number. At first, I thought it was some kind of glitch, so I ignored it. But a few minutes later, it rang again. This time I answered. There was no voice, just breathing, slow, heavy, like someone trying to stay quiet. I said hello. A few times, no response. Then the call ended. Immediately, I got a message, a voice message from the same number, my number. I hesitated but played it. My heart dropped. It was my voice whispering, "Don't trust it." That did not make sense. I checked the recording time. It was sent just seconds after the call. I had not recorded anything. I had not said those words. Then I noticed something strange, the audio background. There was a faint sound behind my voice, like movement inside a room. I turned off the lights in my room, listened carefully. The background sound matched my room exactly. Same fan noise, same small echo. That meant the recording was made here, inside my room. I turned around slowly. Nothing. Everything looked normal, but my phone buzzed again. Another message. I did not want to open it, but I did. This time the voice sounded different, still mine, but scared. Don't turn around. My heart started racing because I had already turned around. I slowly lifted my phone again. Another call. Same number. I did not answer. It kept ringing and then suddenly stopped. Complete silence. A few seconds later, I heard it. A phone vibrating, not in my hand, behind me. Inside the room, I turned slowly and saw it. Another phone on my table. Same model, same case, and it was ringing. When we moved into that house, everything felt like a fresh start. New city, new place, new routine. The house itself was not anything special, but it was comfortable, two floors, small backward, quiet neighborhood, exactly what we needed. The previous owner had left in a hurry, or at least that's what the agent told us. Some personal reasons, nothing more. We did not question it, at least not at first. The first few days were completely normal. Unpacking, arranging furniture, figuring out where things go. You know how it is when you move into a new place. Everything feels unfamiliar but exciting at the same time. But there was one thing in the house that stood out, a door. It was upstairs at the end of the hallway. Small, plain, painted the same color as the walls, but it was locked. At first, we assumed it was just storage. Maybe the owner left something inside and planned to come back later. We did not think much of it until the first night. Around 2:40 a.m. I woke up, not fully, just enough to notice something. A sound, soft, repeated, like tapping. It was faint but clear enough to recognize, and it was coming from upstairs. I sat up and listened carefully. Tap, tap, tap. not random, almost like a pattern. I got out of bed and walked into the hallway. Everything was dark, silent. Then I heard it again, from that direction. The locked door. I stood there for a few seconds, just staring at it, trying to figure out if I was imagining things. Then suddenly it stopped. Complete silence. I went back to bed, telling myself it was probably just the house settling or same pipes. But the next night it happened again. Same time, same tapping, same pattern. This time I did not wait. I went upstairs immediately. As I got closer to the door, the sound got clearer. Tap, 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 and then a soft dragging sound, like something moving across the floor. I stood right in front of the door, and for a moment I thought I heard breathing from the other side, slow, heavy. I stepped back instantly. That did not feel like pipes. That did not feel like the house. The next morning, I asked the agent about the room. He hesitated just for a second, then said, "It's just storage, nothing important." I asked for the key. He said he did not have it. That did not make sense. Why would a locked room be part of the house without a key? That's when things started getting worse. Every night the sounds became louder, not just tapping anymore. Movement, dragging, something hitting the walls, and always around the same time, 2:40 a.m. One night I decided to record it. I placed my phone near the door, set it to record video, and left it there overnight. The next morning I watched the footage. At first nothing, just a quiet hallway. Then around 2:41 a.m. the door handle moved slowly, like someone was trying to open it, but it was locked. Then the tapping started, louder than before, and then something else. A voice, very faint. I increased the volume. My heart started racing. It was whispering, and it sounded like my voice, saying, "Open the door." I stopped the video. I did not want to hear more. That same day, I tried to force the door open. It took time, but eventually it opened. The room inside was empty. No furniture, no boxes, nothing. Just an empty space, but the walls were covered. Scratches. Deep, long, like something had been trying to get out. I don't usually take the bus that late, but that night I did not have a choice. It was around 12:30 a.m. I had missed my usual ride, and the last bus was the only option left. The bus stop was empty, no one around, just dim street lights and complete silence. After a few minutes, the bus arrived. It looked normal, old but working. The doors opened. I stepped inside. There were only a few people, maybe five or six, all sitting quietly. No one talking, no one looking at each other. That felt strange, but I ignored it. I took a seat near the middle. The bus started moving. At first, everything was normal until I noticed something, the route. It was not the usual one. We had taken a turn that did not exit on my regular route. I looked outside. The streets looked unfamiliar, too empty. No shops, no houses, just long roads. I walked up to the driver. "Is this the right route?" He did not respond, did not even look at me, just kept driving. I went back to my seat. That's when I noticed something else. The passengers, they had not moved. Not once. Same positions, same posture, like they were frozen. I tried to make eye contact with one of them. He slowly turned his head toward me and started without blinking. I looked away immediately. A few minutes later, the bus stopped. No bus stop, no lights, nothing outside. One passenger stood up, walked to the door, and got off. The door closed. The bus started moving again. I looked outside. There was no one there, just darkness, like the person had stepped into nothing. I checked my phone. No signal, time stuck. 12:30 a.m. same as before. That's when the driver spoke. For the first time, this is the last stop. I looked around. We were still moving. There was no stop, just